Hey, Skirts Up Squad. It's your girl, Samantha. Now, I am going to be dropping something heavy on you today, but first, I want to remind you of our first live event going on September 15th at Slow Pour Brewing at 2 p.m. It's going to be live with a live audience, and we will have interactive activities and conversations. It's going to be a lot of fun. But if you can't make it in person, you can also join us live on social media, both Facebook and Instagram, and you'll still have just as much fun and get to get all the sneak peeks that everyone else is getting. So it'll be a really good time, and we hope to see you there. It's going to be legend, wait for it, dairy. Only some of you will get that joke. That's okay. Y'all, I'm going to be honest. I'm having a really hard time putting into words everything that I want to say. So, as many of you know, our community was hit with a tragic school shooting. There were casualties, and our community is in a state of mourning. This is not the episode encore that was intended to be released today, but in light of the tragic events going on, this is what jumped out at me, and it's what I needed, and I think it's what some of you need as well. Our hearts go out to the students and their families that are suffering from the loss and the tragic event, the faculty, and I'm thankful that the team members of the school were able to act so quickly to stop further tragedy. So if you want to hear the full episode, take a listen to our season 1 finale, Children Say All. Take a listen. Kids say the darnest things.
God darn, they do.
Did you like how I didn't say damn?
Yeah, and you know what? I accidentally said G-O-D, but I'm going to try not to swear the rest of the episode because we do have kids that we have on this, and I think my nieces and nephews might listen to it.
Yeah, I think we'll have a younger audience for this episode. Just this episode, guys. That's it. We were like, okay, so what do we want to know about kids? And so we went to social media and we, started asking in a bunch of parenting groups if you can know anything or ask your children anything and like want an idea of what's really going on. What would you want to know? And everyone listed like the same 4 things, really. It was school and bullying, career and bills, death, and then, of course, we had to throw in our own silly little spin.
Yeah, so like we had a couple fun questions for them for sure.
We've already done our interviews with the kids.
Yeah.
And we've asked them pretty much the same question, and we're going to cut it up for you guys so that you can hear some of the best responses we got. It was really hard to cut it down to decide on what you guys are going to hear and what you're not going to hear because it was so good.
Yeah, it was really eye-opening, actually. We're going to try to tackle each subject one at a time. So, like, first we're going to show you what they all said about bullying. But we talked to kids of different ages.
We had 5, 9, 12, and 14.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's a pretty good progression.
A really good progression, I think. And so you'll get to kind of hear how their minds are developing. It's really wild.
So the first thing that I saw the most, and we thought, hey, let's start with that, is school and bullying. I remember being bullied in school.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is, well, let's play it for you first, and then I'll tell you what I find interesting.
Yeah. All right. So the first thing we were asking all the kids was, do you feel safe at school? And is bullying a problem?
Being really, really rude.
Really?
My friend called my other friend a meanie.
We have Miss Leah.
Hi. I'm 8. It's good, but every new year it gets harder and harder. I have friends, and I can play with them, and I can learn stuff.
I'm Charlotte, and I'm 12. There's a lot of drama in school, so, like, friends are a problem when, like, there was a problem with some friends who weren't being very kind. If you're friends with someone for a while and then they start being mean, it's like, oh, well, this is weird,
I'm Greg, and I am 14 years old.
I've been asking all the other kids about bullying and if they see it as a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're older, I guess I could just straight up say, do you worry about bad things happening while you're at school?
Yeah, I actually did have some, like, anxiety. I was worried about someone coming in and hurting people, and it's a problem. And yeah, there's not really a perfect way to prepare for it either. So I was asking Mother if I could buy like a bulletproof backpack or something. Part of me thinks, oh, it's not gonna happen, but at the same time, there's another part of me, these kids in my school who are kind of sketchy.
Has anything ever happened?
I was in 5th grade when this happened. I was at the dentist, so I was lucky. But there was a bomb threat, and they had to evacuate everybody out. And it was just a joke, but still, people were freaking out.
Would you say that's when the anxiety started?
Because I wasn't there, no, I would say it did not start there. But I don't know. I think it's I think 5th grade. Around I guess around 5th grade.
Around there. Yeah.
It was tough.
What is really interesting, I think that we both found, was the age progression in their answers.
Right. Totally.
How it's just fun. And then
At first, it's all, well, someone called me a meanie, or you know what I mean? Or they're just being really rude, right?
and it does kind of make me think of kindergarten.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it was, right?
Yeah.
It is. And then what was it next? It was,
And then it progressed into, oh, I have a lot of friends.
I have a
So
lot-
yeah,
yeah,
there's a little,
but really not a big problem. I try to stand
Everyone's
up for
nice.
people, but yeah, exactly.
but then you get into the like 12-year-olds,
12-year-old.
and then they're like, well, there's drama. There's, you know, not a whole lot of kindness, but being very tame about it.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like she was trying to be, it's not.
She was trying to be positive, I think, because she was sharing her own experiences
That
with
is
friends,
true.
I think.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could tell like this was hard for her to decide. Like she had friends who were suddenly being mean to her and they'd been friends for a long time. And it's like, wow, that's weird. What am I supposed to do? Like,
Did you experience
cut-
that ever?
Because
I did.
You did? How old
Yeah.
were you? Like at her age?
I honestly think I was younger. And I think that's why it kind of surprises me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't at that age. Until I was like my 20s.
Because 12-year-old, that's like what? Like 5th grade-ish?
She, 6th.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, yeah. Mine was younger for
Seventh.
sure. Because, like, I remember I'm wanting to say, like, 3rd grade. Like, the girls would start getting their cliques.
Mhm.
And then you had to be, like, cool enough to be in those cliques. Or,
Mhm.
like, they'd be mean. And then,
Oh, yeah,
like, you were
totally.
friends with them yesterday, but now they're into this clique. So now you're not friends. And it's like this real.
Got
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
No, that didn't really happen to me. It was more like my friends were my friends and we were all loyal to each other, but there were some girls and kids that were like just mean. And I remember getting made fun of for the clothes that I wore because we didn't have a lot of money. And I remember actually my poor brother, who I love so much, is the middle child. And he was getting made fun of a lot by this one girl named Gina.
Yeah, called out.
Right? And so he must have been like 9, and she was mean. She was aggressive and she scratched him on his face. And so I've only been into like a couple fist fights in my whole life, and they were all for my brother Nick.
Jesus. I have been bullied probably my whole life. Like, I remember a time being bullied in kindergarten, and I remember, like, my mom fighting and
Really?
oh, yes, like,
I'm
trying to get us removed
sorry.
from the class because it was, like, so bad. And then I remember, you know, the clique starting in 2nd, 3rd-ish grade or whatever. And then I remember, so I moved around a lot. I think we talked about that in a previous episode. And so one of the schools that I went to for a little bit. We moved out of state, but then we moved back, and I went back to the same school.
Oh, that's going to be weird.
It was weird. So my best friends made friends with the cooler people. And so when I came back, I wasn't part of the cooler people.
no.
Y'all remember water bras?
I mean, in the 90s?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah. So my cousin had cleaned out her closet, and she
Okay.
gave me, there was a water bra in it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna be cool and I'm gonna wear that. Well, then I got made fun of, and people were saying that I stuffed my bra. And like one of my friend that used
You're
to
like,
be
I
my friend.
kind of do with water.
No, it didn't cross my mind. But I remember going into the cafeteria one day for lunch, and the girl who used to be my friend had stuffed her bra with tissues and then like yelled out in front of everyone that, oh, she stuffed her bra, and was throwing out tissue at me, like in the cafeteria.
That is very mean.
Yeah. And looking back now, I'm like, okay, you were wearing a water bra. Like, come on. But like,
Yeah, but just because you do something and you're experimenting and trying to find yourself doesn't mean you're asking for it.
no, and that's correct.
And that's
but-
where I really loved what Charlotte said about this is actually in a future questions, but it does apply. So I'm just going to kind of share it now and then you'll hear her say it in a little bit, I guess. But we had asked her about changing the world, like, what could you change? And she was like, I think that we just need to treat each other with kindness. And then she started talking about kids wouldn't be scared to go to school if they felt like they were accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so what? You stuffed your bra, like you wore a water bra, but you weren't asking to be treated that way.
Yeah, you're right. That is probably a grown-up way to think about it. Now, the part that shocked us the most was hearing a 14-year-old come to the realization of where his anxiety around school has come from and fear of school.
My heart dropped.
Did y'all hear that? A bulletproof backpack. And we didn't know that existed.
I had to have my 14-year-old nephew, whom I love dearly, bring me to the awareness that there even is a bulletproof backpack that does exist.
We literally had to look it up before we started recording because we were like, what?
And it just made me so sad that and it was interesting because he said, of course, there was that bomb threat that he talked about.
But that he wasn't there for.
He wasn't there.
But that's not what caused his anxiety.
She's doing in quotes. Because he said, no, that's not what caused it. But then he starts talking to his mom and he's like, when did I start having anxiety? And she goes, 5th grade. And that's when the bomb threat was.
And it's kind of like a light bulb, like, maybe that is.
That is when I started, I guess.
It technically didn't happen to him, but it still affected him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that that's also like really wild to think about the kids.
Yes.
Like the shootings that are going on and stuff. It's not happening to them, but this just kind of brings you back to think like it's still affecting them. They're still hearing it. And it's like, whoa, we don't go to school. So like, it's like, we don't think about it.
I know. When I was in school, we literally had fire drills and we would get under our desk for earthquake drills. Oh, okay. I was in California. You were in Texas.
Yeah. I was in Kansas, Texas. So tornado drills.
Yeah. We had earthquake drills.
That is hilarious. I didn't know that.
But yeah, no, we did not have to have shooter drills. And Amelia kind of talks about how they get all in a huddle in a corner in the classroom. I wanted to be very careful about not asking my nieces and nephews that because I didn't want to scare them or make them think about something that they hadn't already thought of.
But we did pick at Amelia a little bit deeper, I think. And
well, she brought it up.
No, Oh,
you brought up that kind of drill?
I picked it up. Yeah, I picked at her a little bit. Well, okay, maybe she did bring it up a little bit, and then she was explaining it as like a fun thing of like, oh, well, when this happens, we just huddle into our classroom and we're just quiet until someone taps on our window and tells us that we're good.
Yep.
And like she hadn't, at a 9-year-old, hadn't realized.
Exactly. And so when I asked my niece and nephews that question, like, I didn't want to bring that up. I kind of wanted to see if they would say anything. The only one who did was Greg, and he, I was like, honestly, you're old enough. I can just straight up ask you, do you feel safe at school when I say that? And he knew exactly what I meant. Like, he went straight there. All right. So we wanted to ask the kids, what do they know about paying bills and actually having to like be an adult?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Listen to it. Where are we?
A lot. They charge you for everything. Like, your water, electricity. They're probably going to charge us for oxygen soon. Who knows? Phone bill? There's more. I know there's more.
There's more.
And there's taxes.
There's more.
Taxes is another thing, too.
Okay. Taxes. What do you think about taxes?
I don't like them, but I think they're good. Because I don't want to give my money away, but they are helping the community. If taxes weren't a thing, we wouldn't have schools, good roads, we wouldn't have a lot of things. And if we had it so people just came and donated, no one would donate because humans are selfish creatures. I wouldn't donate. But I think it's good. It's just annoying,
Oh my gosh. I died. We probably are going to be paying for oxygen. He's not lying. Like, well,
He straight up said, I don't know, sooner or later.
that is the best thing I think I've ever heard in my life.
Gosh.
He's not wrong.
Probably not, and I hate it.
We ask all the children, and you're going to hear most of theirs. If you could have a magic wand and change anything in the world, what would it be?
Yeah. Listen,
I would take away greed. Let me think. Is anything to benefit the world? Everyone would have a home and no one would fight. Everyone would have food and no one would be poor again.
I think probably the way people treat each other, because if people just change that, a lot of things would be a lot better and other things could change as well.
Right. Give me an example.
Changing it so that people treat each other the same way as they treat everybody, so they go out of their way to be nice to others.
How do you think that could change the world?
I think just everything would be more peaceful. Going back to school would be so many kids would enjoy going to school more because they were able to feel like they had friends, like people cared about them there.
I would change the fact that people are willing to bomb each other because of a difference in opinion. We need more peace on Earth.
Do you think there's a way we can achieve that?
I think it's going to take a long time. I'd say but it's going to need everybody to actually make an effort with the end goal to just end contention and rough stuff.
What did you think?
My heart is swelled up right now.
Yeah.
Because and almost like I could even maybe cry a little just probably because I know these kids. But I don't think they're alone in being so thoughtless and kind and just wanting good things for those around them. And I feel like if we could just remember, hey, let's treat each other with kindness, like the way it just seems so natural to come from them like that.
It just seems so simple. What would you have said if you could change anything with a magical...
If I could change anything...
what would you have said?
At my age right now?
Right now, if you did not hear
I mean, granted, I guess at this age, I do know we want world peace, but I almost feel like maybe I'm just so jaded and I think it would never happen anyway, so I'm just going to ask for $1 million. You know what I mean? It's like...
Yeah, and it's just so funny that every single one of their answers revolve around being nicer, being kinder, giving. And the fact that, who said that? Greg. What I find really interesting is that he's like, people are bombing each other over a difference in opinion. We just had a president shot because of a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And
there's
wild.
Things going on in this world, even overseas, and that we don't even have to see, luckily, here. But it's just heartbreaking, and it's literally over just
difference
opinions
of opinion,
and children are dying.
Yeah. And then when you ask him, because that answer was just goosebumps on our arms. And you're like, well, okay, do you think that we could change? Can we make it better? And he's like, oh, it'll take a long time.
Yeah. But it was interesting because he kind of was like, but it was still he didn't say it couldn't get better. It's like he had hope.
Yeah.
Right?
I think he still had a little bit.
I have none. But just kidding.
And you know what? His little spiel continues because
that's true.
Then we ask him,
what is something you think adults should know? Listen.
There's a lot I think adults should know, but probably just be kind, kids, because I've had some experiences with pretty salty adults, and usually I didn't even do anything wrong, and they're just throwing a fit because they want to, and I'd still apologize though, because I'm afraid. You got to be kind. If you're upset with a child, you got to let them know that it's going to be okay, Get into the discipline and whatever after.
That as a parent hits freaking home run, because how many times do us parents go, gosh, I really failed today. I was yelling a lot today. I was very angry today. I was not my best self. This reminds you, and this is something that I have to remind myself. Oh, yeah, I got goosebumps again. This is something that I have to remind myself every day. When I do lose my cool and I do snap and yell, a lot of times it's really not the kid. A lot of times it's really because I had the house to clean. I had all these mouths to feed. I had I had stuff to do, and now there's someone wanting your attention and wanting to talk to you.
And it can feel like yipping in your ear, but to them...
Overstimulating.
Yeah, overstimulating.
And so then you snap, and it's not even about them. And so it's really, really important as a parent to remember to go and let your child know, hey, that wasn't about you.
He said, be kind and let them know it's all just going to be okay.
Yeah. And they need that. I try really, really hard anytime I snap to go and be like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell. I had a rough day. I had blah, blah, blah. Just not to make an excuse for the behavior. It's really because I want them to tell me like why they got so mad and like yelled at me or said something ugly. And so I'm trying to like
teach them to be able to be introspective and understand why they're feeling the way they're feeling, why they're acting or reacting
and
the way they're acting, and to communicate that. That is huge. That's something that I think even as adults, it's very difficult. Like, honestly, I would say that's the number one problem in a marriage and a relationship sometimes is just learning how to communicate with each other.
And don't take it too hard on yourself, parents, if you do find yourself being mad all the time. Because in the words of Amelia,
whoopsies, I made a mistake and it's okay. It's okay.
This episode is dedicated to all of those affected by the Apalachee High School shooting. If you have any questions on what you can do to help those that were affected, do not hesitate to reach out to us, and we will point you in the right direction. Be on the lookout for our new releases, which are coming out sooner than you think. Bye!